While preparing breakfast, I gazed out the window. Autumn mornings in Eden Prairie are always quiet. This time of day has felt the loneliest since I lost my husband George 5 years ago. But today is Wednesday, the day I get to see my granddaughter Sophie's face. Just that thought warms my heart. My name is Barbara Miller. I'm turning 65. 3 years ago, I retired from the bank where I worked for over 30 years. I still vividly remember my farewell party on my last day at First National Bank, with all those heartfelt letters from longtime customers. That day too, I wished George had still been alive. Now, taking care of my 8-year-old granddaughter 3 times a week has become my precious routine. As I toast bread, I think about Sophie lately. She's in 3rd grade, with a bright and honest personality, and her teacher Mrs. Brown speaks very highly of her. She stayed positive even after her parents' divorce. The other day during class observation, she solved a math problem at the blackboard and got applause from her classmates. Watching her always tugs at my heartstrings. As a grandmother, I can't help but worry about how the divorce is affecting her. The morning sun streaming through the kitchen window illuminates the wedding anniversary photo of George and me on the counter. Next to it is a photo of Eric, still young, smiling in his baseball uniform. The image of us as parents watching our son grow up is captured in there too. Time sure flies. A year ago, when my son Eric divorced Amanda, I completely blamed Amanda. I still regret my behavior from that time. When the talk of Eric's job transfer came up with his promotion, Amanda said she couldn't move because of her parents' nursing care needs. Their discussions reached an impasse, and ultimately, they chose divorce. If I had listened to them both more calmly back then, things might have turned out differently. Eric works diligently as a middle manager at an IT company. Focused on promotion opportunities, he sometimes gets too wrapped up in his work. He takes after his late father in that way. But he truly cherishes Sophie. On holidays, he always takes her to Purgatory Creek Park to play on the equipment and ride bikes. Though he's struggling to balance work and parenting since the divorce, honestly, he often relies on me for childcare. Just last week, when he had a sudden business trip, I looked after Sophie for 3 days. Meanwhile, Amanda, who was a stay-at-home mom before the divorce, now works 2 jobs, as a cashier at Cub Foods and at Applebee's. When I ran into her by chance at Eden Prairie Center recently, she looked tired and had lost weight. She seems to be desperately trying to rebuild her life while dealing with her parents' care needs. During the divorce, she conceded custody, hearing it was because of Eric's financial stability and stable living environment. Now she has visitation rights twice a month to see Sophie. A pleasant aroma of toasted bread wafts from the toaster. I stand up and water the houseplant by the window. It's a plant my husband left behind. Its leaves gleam in the morning sun. George loved plants. On his days off, he would enthusiastically tend to the garden. Even now, the flowers he planted bloom seasonally in the garden. Eric and Sophie live in a house in the suburbs. Their 2-story white house is about a 15-minute drive from my place. On weekdays, Sophie uses the after-school program. The $300 monthly fee isn't cheap, but it's a common choice in this area where many households have both parents working. I started taking care of her 3 times a week in the evenings because Eric started coming home later. Amanda lives alone in an old apartment in the next town, about a 40-minute drive away. I hear she's living frugally in a second-floor apartment. As I sit at the dining table, I remember what Sophie told me on the phone yesterday. Next visitation day, I'm going to make pancakes with Mom, she said excitedly. Her voice still rings in my ears. While Sophie is devoted to her father, I can tell she's always thinking about her mother too. I wonder how much I really understand the complex feelings of a child with separated parents. After breakfast, I begin preparing for today. Wednesday evenings, I always make Sophie's favorite meatloaf. It's a recipe I learned from George's mother, which has now become what she calls Grandma's taste. While checking ingredients, I make a shopping list. Shopping at Target is part of my daily routine. I look at my reflection in the entryway mirror. I've gotten used to my silver short hair. Though I try to maintain a calm expression, my personality of becoming a bit forceful when it comes to family matters hasn't changed. That can be both good and bad. Maybe my years of experience at the bank made me this way. As I grab my car keys, I start preparing to leave, looking forward to seeing Sophie's smile today. It's the season when the street trees show beautiful autumn colors. This quiet morning air gently envelopes the day ahead. The neighborhood joggers have already started their activities. I stop by the bathroom to touch up my makeup. In my reflection, I see a mix of slight anxiety and abundant hope in my eyes. Even though our family structure has changed, there's still so much I can do. That's what I believe. Sometimes I still wonder if divorce was the right choice. But more important than that is how to support Sophie from here on. Maybe that's what keeps me going now. I check the photo in my wallet. One of Sophie's smiling face. It's her school graduation photo. What can I do for this child's happiness? With these thoughts in my heart, a new day was about to begin. I noticed the change around mid-October. One evening, while making Sophie's favorite meatloaf as usual, I noticed something different about her behavior. "Grandma, I'm sorry, my stomach hurts today." Sophie apologetically pushed away her plate. She had barely touched it. Eric had called to say he'd be late from work, so it was just Sophie and me that day. "Where does it hurt? Should we go to the doctor?" I worried and felt her forehead, but there was no fever. Sophie shook her head slightly. "I'm okay. Just feeling a little sick." I decided to let her rest early that day, but the following week saw a similar scene. This time with chicken pot pie. This was also one of her favorites, but again she said, "My stomach hurts," and left more than half uneaten. A small sense of unease began growing inside me. I'd heard that Amanda would sometimes skip meals, claiming to be on a diet. Surely an 8-year-old child wouldn't. Such thoughts crossed my mind. The changes weren't just about food. The $5 weekly allowance I always give Sophie on Wednesdays, recently, I stopped hearing the sound of coins dropping into her piggy bank. She used to regularly have ice cream with friends at Eden Prairie Center. Though Sophie said, "There's nothing special I want this month," she increasingly checked her wallet, as if confirming something. Her return time from the after-school program gradually got later too. Usually home by 4:30, now it wasn't unusual for her to return after 5 o'clock. I was chatting with friends. I was reading in the library. Her voice had an unsettled quality when making these excuses. I mentioned this to Eric over the phone. "I've been so busy lately, haven't been able to properly check on Sophie. Mom, could you keep an eye on her a bit longer?" Hearing the fatigue in my son's voice, I couldn't find words to argue. One day, while watching TV in the living room, I caught sight of Sophie secretly checking her phone in her room. Though I try to respect privacy, seeing an 8-year-old child furtively operating a phone made my heart clench. After that, I started consciously observing her. The food in the refrigerator was disappearing unusually quickly. Especially the pre-made side dishes would vanish in no time. At first, I was happy thinking her appetite had returned, but her movements at the dining table remained sluggish. Her school backpack seemed unusually full on more days. "Sophie, have you gotten more homework lately?" "Yes, math is a bit difficult." Her voice lacked energy. When I called the school to check, there was no mention of increased assignments. Then, the decisive moment suddenly arrived. One Wednesday evening after dinner, I went upstairs to get the laundry. As I climbed the dimly lit stairs, I heard a concerning sound. It was coming from the bathroom. The door was slightly ajar. Through the light seeping out, I witnessed a scene I could hardly believe. Sophie was carefully packing dinner leftovers into plastic bags. With practiced movements, trying not to make a sound. As if she had done this many times before. "Sophie." At the sound of my voice, she froze. When she turned around, large tears glistened in her eyes. "Grandma, please don't ask, please don't tell." Sophie pleaded in a thin voice. Something in that voice sent chills down my spine. This wasn't just fear of being scolded. Something more serious was being hidden. The bathroom fluorescent light flickered irregularly. In that light, my granddaughter's face contorted. In my mind, all the recent oddities suddenly connected. Late return times. Unused allowance. Disappearing food. Heavy backpack. Secretly used phone. Everything seemed to exist for this moment. "Sophie, are you?" I couldn't continue. I lacked the courage to understand what the scene before me meant. In the plastic bag, my homemade meatloaf was neatly wrapped. Grandma's meatloaf is really, really delicious. So. The rest of her words turned into sobs. My hand trembled as it gripped the doorknob. Opening this door would surely change something big in our family. I sensed that intuitively. Through the bathroom window, I could see the evening sky. Its orange tint seemed like our daily life slowly changing color. Since that night, I couldn't get the reason for Sophie's tears out of my mind. The scene in the bathroom kept replaying like an old movie scene, over and over. "Grandma, please don't ask, please don't tell." The weight of those words squeezed my heart. Should I tell Eric? I wrestled with this decision for several days. My son was busy with a big project recently. I wanted to avoid anything that might affect his work. But was this something I should handle alone? First, I called Prairie View Elementary School. I intended to schedule a meeting with Mrs. Brown. However, the response was, "We haven't noticed anything concerning." Rather, I got positive feedback. Recently, her relationships with friends are good, and her attitude in class is diligent. Next, I tried contacting Sarah's mother, Sophie's best friend who lives nearby. Pretending to bump into her at Eden Prairie Center. Sophie and Sarah seem to play together a lot lately, don't they? Though I brought it up casually, she tilted her head. "Huh. Sarah says she hasn't been playing much with Sophie lately. Even at the after-school program, Sophie's been leaving early." Those words deepened my concerns. I decided to observe Sophie's behavior more carefully. Every Wednesday, I drive to pick her up from the after-school program. One day, I arrived 30 minutes earlier than usual. I caught Sophie leaving through the school gates. There was still over an hour until the program ended. "Oh, Sophie." At my voice, she was clearly startled. "Grandma, it ended early today." Both her excuse and her hurried attempt to hide her smartphone were unnatural. Back home, I secretly checked her room. Though I felt guilty, I also had a responsibility as her grandmother. As expected, her piggy bank was empty. She should have saved 3 months' worth of $5 weekly allowances. In the back of her drawer, I found several used bus tickets. Where had she been going? Late that night, passing by the upstairs hallway, I noticed a bluish light leaking from Sophie's room. Peeking through the gap in the door, I saw her operating her smartphone under the covers. A messaging app was open on the screen. The name of the recipient, my eyes suddenly welled up. Mom. Seeing those letters, I began to understand the reason for Sophie's changes. At breakfast the next morning, I tried bringing up the topic. "Have you been seeing Mom lately?" Sophie's reaction at that moment was far from normal. She dropped her spoon and hung her head, face turning bright red. "Yes, twice a month." A trembling voice. Obviously a lie. Various possibilities started swirling in my mind. Worst case, could she be being bullied? Being demanded food and money? Just thinking about it sent chills down my spine. Or was this the beginning of delinquency? The dangerous invitations through smartphones we often see on TV. No, Sophie's only 8 years old. But recent news talks about how these things are affecting younger children. I couldn't sleep at night. I kept questioning myself on the pillow. Was this family environment wrong from the start? I share responsibility for too easily accepting the divorce. I should have considered Amanda's position more. Even while standing in the kitchen, my reflection in the window looked tired. Eric was still working late as usual. He hadn't noticed the changes in Sophie's behavior. This couldn't be left alone. I started thinking about Amanda. During the divorce, I unilaterally blamed her. I said she should prioritize following my son's transfer over her parents' care. Looking back, that was an incredibly harsh demand. And now, my attitude then might be affecting my granddaughter's strange behavior. The family photo in the entryway watches me. Sophie smiling happily. But I had been completely blind to the real feelings hidden behind that smile. We need to reconsider our relationship with my former daughter-in-law. That was painfully clear. But first, protecting Sophie right in front of me takes priority. While preparing dinner in the kitchen at dusk, I had made up my mind. Tomorrow, after school, I would have a serious talk with Sophie. Surely, her heart must be carrying burdens beyond my imagination. The next morning, I knocked on Sophie's door earlier than usual. No response. Quietly opening the door, the bed was empty, and Sophie's smartphone was left on the pillow. The screen was still lit. My hands trembled. This would be invading her privacy. But I couldn't overlook Sophie's changes anymore. Steeling myself, I looked at the screen, where a messaging app remained open. "Mom, I'll bring some again today. Grandma's meatloaf is really, really delicious. Sophie, thank you. But any more than this? It's okay. Grandma makes lots of food. This way you can work hard, right, Mom?" My vision blurred. Scrolling back through the message dates, the exchanges had been continuing for 3 months. The nursing home payment must have been tough again this month. I saved all my allowance. Sophie, please keep your allowance for yourself. Mom will manage somehow. But Grandpa and Grandma's nursing care costs a lot, right? The teacher said so. She said nursing homes cost really, really much. The more I scrolled through the screen, the tighter my chest felt. An 8-year-old girl, desperately trying to support her mother. Working so hard in ways we adults never noticed. All the mysteries connected. Sophie had been taking the bus 40 minutes after school to her mother's apartment. And secretly delivering my cooking to her mother. I hurriedly called Eric. Unusually, he answered right away. Eric, come home immediately. Something serious has. An hour later, we sat on the living room sofa, looking at Sophie's messages. Eric's face turned pale. My son, who had always maintained composure as an IT company middle manager, showed raw emotion for the first time. Why didn't I notice? His voice trembled. I was so focused on work, I lost sight of what's important. I prioritized promotion chances and didn't consider Amanda's feelings. I couldn't even notice Sophie's changes. His hands shook as he gripped the documents on the desk. It was last month's promotion declination notice. From now on, I want to put family first. I finally realized there are things more important than promotion. Amanda's parents have severe dementia requiring special care. The facility costs $6,000 per month. You blamed her. I scolded my son strongly for the first time. We blamed Amanda too one-sidedly. We completely forgot to consider her position. Being forced to choose between caring for her parents or moving with the family, how painful that must have been. Just then, the doorbell rang. Opening it, there stood Sophie and Amanda. Amanda was frozen in surprise. She had caught Sophie trying to take my homemade lunch again. I'm so sorry. I told Sophie many times to stop, but... Tears spilled from Amanda's eyes. Seeing her emaciated figure, my heart ached. The life of juggling 2 jobs while caring for her parents had driven her this far. I was wrong. Amanda's voice trembled. I should have discussed my parents' care needs earlier. But after ruining Eric's promotion opportunity, I thought I didn't have the right to ask for help anymore. Eric stepped forward. I'm the one who needs to apologize. I tried to force the transfer on you without listening to your feelings. Demanding that you prioritize my job over your parents, that was too cruel. But your career. There are things more important than career. I didn't realize it until now. Until Sophie taught me. Amanda, who had just finished her shift at Applebee's, was still in her uniform. Seeing her standing there exhausted, Eric offered her a chair. That evening, we all sat around the dining table as a family for the first time in a long while. On the table was my meatloaf. Sophie watched the adults' faces with concern. Sophie, Eric began. Papa couldn't think about Mom's feelings. I'm really sorry. I took a deep breath and voiced the suggestion I'd been considering for a long time. Let's share the care costs between us. I truly apologize for leaving everything to Amanda until now. Amanda looked surprised. But, that's... No, this is what family should do. I'm sorry for everything until now. let's all support each other from here on." With those words, I felt the long-standing divide slowly beginning to fill. While eating, we discussed specific support measures. Eric and I would cover half of the nursing home costs. Visitation time would increase from twice a month to weekly. Eric promised to help with transporting her parents to and from the care facility. "Let's have lunch together every Sunday," I suggested. Sophie's face lit up. It was the first genuinely happy smile I'd seen from her in a while. We also decided to look into local caregiving support services. We discovered Eden Prairie has various support systems for elderly care. "Let's have regular family meetings too," Amanda suggested. A look of relief appeared on her face for the first time in ages. "That way, we can better understand each other's situations. I'll try not to shoulder everything alone anymore. I'll adjust my work schedule too," Eric added. "I don't want to prioritize work over everything else like before." At dusk, as everyone was preparing to return to their homes, Sophie ran up to me. Behind her, Eric and Amanda watched fondly. "Grandma, I'm sorry. Sorry for keeping secrets." I hugged my granddaughter tightly. Sophie taught us the true meaning of family. Amanda approached and gently stroked Sophie's head. Eric's hand overlapped hers. Outside the window, the setting sun gently illuminated the town. Our new beginning was about to start. A month later, we all gathered around the table again. We're finding optimal solutions for Amanda's parents' care by discussing everything together. Using local care support services has gradually lightened Amanda's burden. Eric comes home earlier than before and makes sure to spend time with family on weekends. Our weekly family lunches continue without fail. "Mom, today's lunch was delicious too." Amanda's eyes moistened at Sophie's words. There's no need to secretly pack food anymore. Instead, we often cook together now. Standing in the kitchen, I listened to my family's laughter. Divorce didn't destroy our bonds. Rather, it gave us the opportunity to become a true family. An 8-year-old girl's pure love taught us that. Eric and Amanda have started walking in the same direction now. Complete reconciliation might still take time. But we're moving forward, one step at a time, steadily. This family's new story has just begun. But I'm sure we'll be fine. After all, we have Sophie, our small but strong bond. 6 months have passed. Sunday morning, and my kitchen is filled with family laughter. "Hey, Grandma, am I cutting this meat right?" Sophie holds the knife with a serious expression. "Today, we're all making meatloaf at my house. What I used to make alone has now become a family tradition recipe that we all make together." "Well done, Sophie. Teach Mom too." Amanda stands beside her daughter, gently guiding her hand on the knife. I can't help but smile at this natural interaction between mother and daughter. Eric talks about work while taking plates from the cupboard. Since last month, he's secured 2 work-from-home days per week. He uses that time to help transport Amanda's parents to and from the care facility. "Dad, can I go to the facility's family meeting next time?" "Of course. Grandpa and Grandma will be so happy." Sophie's voice bounces with excitement. Her smile no longer clouds over like before. Looking around at my family gathered at the table, I realize that even though divorce changed our form, we're definitely still family. In fact, we're bound by stronger ties than before. This is our new family form, which now feels natural to accept. Sunday meals, facility visits, school events. Our calendar is filled with family activities. It might not be the perfect family picture, but it's a relationship where we care for and support each other. Barbara, here's your tea. The warm aroma of tea rises from the cup Amanda offers me. Our former conflicts have transformed into gentle consideration. Everyone, let's eat. Sophie's voice starts our new Sunday meal. Outside the window, Eden Prairie's sunlight gently embraces us all.